I want to talk to you about life force energy within canine behaviour. So this has come up, it is something that I teach anyway, but it's come up this morning in terms of somebody in a group that I'm in asking a question because they have stuff going on with their dog that is making them upset, and this emotional, and it happens. And it's not nice when you're in a very stuck situation, and it does bring up a lot of frustration, it does bring up a lot of upset. Now, the reason life force energy is so important to understand in dog behaviour is that humanity in general, this is like our journey to wake up to the fact that life force energy exists. Okay, we've known about it for a very, very long time. And I was actually wondering how I could explain that fact. And then when I sat down here and I realised that this, I normally have it like this to put cups on, but the Om has been around a very long time. The Om is the expression of the sound of planet Earth. So it's the sound, and sound is a frequency. It's measurable as numbers as a frequency. So it's part of the life force. And the idea behind the Om as well isn't that you just say it from here mentally, that you actually feel it and it comes through the body. So it's the O is down here, the her and so it's ahum. Anyway, it's not a lesson about that, but that's just an explanation that we have known about life force energy for a very long time. Okay, even to the point of life force energy really, it explains why nature works. It explains why herbs work better than drugs and nourish the body and allow things to shift out of the body. It explains why homeopathy could work. Okay, life force energy, but we're totally ignoring it in terms of dog behaviour. Okay, so for me, for the last 11 years, or longer actually now, because it'll be my 12th year of retreats next year, I have been teaching people, owners, human friends of dogs, how to understand life force energy in their dogs' behaviours. For years, I had no idea that's what I was doing until a few years ago, 3-4 years ago, when someone asked me to teach them what it was I was doing. And I had to really stop and go into my wonderful human ability to use mental processing to work out, well, why does it work what I do? Why do my behaviour methods, which are completely different to anything that's out there except a bit of T-touch, because I am a TTP2, and that did really start me on more of a journey of understanding why some of the things that I do make a difference to the dog's life force energy. It was a piece of the jigsaw puzzle, but it isn't the whole picture, because they still talk a lot about thinking and mental processing. Life force energy is an intelligence. It is a heart-based, nature-based intelligence. And that is what we really are waking up in humanity to realise, that it is empowering to be in your life force energy. Your life force energy is a creative force. It can make things happen. It can influence things in both positive and what we would label positive and negative in the duality sense way. But it has no positive or negative. It just is, okay? And it is powerful. And dogs feel it. They basically are made up of this life force energy, and everything they do is an expression of life force energy. They don't judge themselves for it, they just get on with it, they just do it. We are up here. And in some ways, that makes us better able to function in society. It means we can organise, it means we can control, it means we can have separation and make certain things happen in that sense, in that way. However, we have massively overdeveloped that side of us, massively. And now the whole waking up thing is about understanding how we come out of that again. How we utilise it for its benefits and its mental processing benefits, but we fully understand our life force energy. Now, I believe, and this is, to change your dog's behaviour, you don't have to be with this belief, but I believe that dogs are actually here on planet Earth to show us and assist us and support, with a PAW, us to find our life force energy. Because for a very long time, we have limited the dog's life force energy. We've controlled it, we've limited. We've consistently seen them as thinking, mental processing beings because it served us. Because when we open our life force energy, there's stuff in there that's been hanging around a long time. We might not want to let that go. It's a cellular memory thing for us too. And it's not always easy to let it go. But the dog will show you what you are holding on to. And whilst you suppress that life force energy in you, the dog will keep showing you it. Okay, so there's two sides to the story. It's what's going on for you in your subconscious, in your underworld, if you like, which the ancients, again, used to attribute the dog to the underworld. They knew. Anubis was given the job, if you like, or the task of measuring, weighing, they call it in modern day Egyptology, weighing the person's heart after they died to see where they would go next, okay? And obviously in modern day Egyptology, they make it very duality. They make it like, was he a good or bad person, essentially? But in his life, and then circles, where does he go? But really what that shows me is that they honoured and recognised the dog's ability to feel heart-based emotions. Your dog is a heart-based animal. It feels its way through life, or they feel their way through life. Get so passionate about it and forget that they're living gorgeous beings that, you know, we're sharing our time with. But so I hope this is making sense, because over the years, all we've done in dog training predominantly is limit and stop the dog from expressing itself. And it served us to do that. I mean, it served us back in the day when we wanted to believe in hierarchy. Luckily, a lot of us are shifting. Humanity's shifting in our awareness of how things function. And you've got great people teaching about things like self-organising systems. The planets are a self-organising system. Your whole body is a self-organising system. And yes, sets of things that feel energy create a self-organising system. However, beyond that, they are divine beings with a life force energy that can express any emotion. Okay, so if they are stuck in an emotion, it's not because that's the way they have to be, or they're made, or they're imprinted for the rest of their life. The very fact that life force energy and self-organising systems can happen is because energy is in motion. It's emotion. It can move. It can flow. It can change and be a life force that comes from you and evolve and develop and create. It's never imprinted and stuck. And if it is, that's our lesson in terms of understanding how we can shift, change, transform, and get energy, understand energy. So I'm even going to go there with another belief system of mine about vaccines, because I'm not into vaccines, obviously, because of the physical molecular stuff that's in there that doesn't match what we want in our body or the dog's body. Okay, that's like a given. However, vaccines, the reason they work is because they go into the body and they create a response in something called memory B cells. Okay, it's not because they create the antibodies that the titer test then reads. True immunity is the memory B cell. Now, nobody in the scientific world, vets, even with humans, nobody knows how it does this, the body does this. Okay, so this memory is created and stored in the body. It's not just created, it's stored, it's kept there. That's why it's called a memory, I guess. But so it's a cellular memory. Okay, so it's part of our life force energy. We almost take in this frequency, and then it's available then for us to use at a later date. But it stays there, dormant in us as such. Okay, that's what I believe is happening with vaccines. And of course, we've got no way of measuring that because we don't even know how the body does it. So that shows us as well that there are emotions, because emotions are measurable frequencies that come from the heart. Your beating heart sends out these frequencies. And for those that haven't heard of that before, the Institute of Heart Math have published tons of data about it. And the Noetic Science Institute, it's a fact, it just isn't brought into mainstream education. But it's a fact that emotions are measurable frequencies coming from the heart, okay? So the fact that, going back to vaccines, we can have this imprint on us from something that's injected into us, it does lend itself to us understanding how a dog can take on things in its environment and have that imprint in it as a dormant thing, okay? Which also means that they can be changed and transformed. If we can recognise that which is in them and allow them to express it out, this will change their behaviour. Now, the thing is, it's actually not that hard to do this, but because we are so determined to hold on to the fact the dog is a thinking being, they're using their mind, or there's something wrong with their brain, we end up in a completely different intention and energetic place to change their behaviour. It actually creates emotional frustration within us as well. One of the reasons is because we immediately think, whoa, well, what do I do? If I've got to change how I'm being in a situation, what do I do? Okay, and because we always want to go from one extreme to the other. You can integrate being a different frequency around your dog and allowing the dog to be in the frequency you don't want to see, okay, which will lead to behaviours you don't want to see. You can let that happen in a safe way. You can let that life force be expressed rather than suppressing it in the dog. There are ways to do it, and these are the ways that I've been working with on my retreats for so long and now teaching people to do in what I call canine flow, because obviously it's about the flow of life force energy, and it's so related to you as well. Dogs are here, as I said in my belief system first, here to show us, and even if they're not here, if they haven't been sent by anybody, they are in front of you. They've got in front of you as part of the story of your reality, and they are now showing you what is happening, what life force energy is being suppressed. So you've got ways you can work with the dog, where you allow the dog to express their life force energy rather than having it suppressed in them and then like a wound spring suddenly coming out. You've also got ways to understand you, but if you don't do both, you don't actually change the dog. Now, positive dog training can give you some wonderful ways to manage the situation, and all sorts of lovely equipment can be used as well, like different harnesses to help you manage the situation at the time, or other things that you might choose to use at the time that are kind and compassionate, obviously. So there are things you can do still, and I love in this particular thread, I guess we call it, Facebook thread, I love the fact that people are sharing that the rabies vaccine might have allowed an imprint of this behaviour to somehow be in the dog, and you know, that's really essentially what we're saying. So to detox that would be wonderful. Or maybe even like if there's too much of a heavy metal that will, from the vaccine, that will influence how the dog feels. Because we've got to remember, it isn't about how they're thinking, it's about how they're feeling. So I love that people are saying this. And having a health check is a no-brainer, because your hormones are the physical molecular expression of a feeling. Okay, they're what you can draw as a molecule, but they have a vibration in themselves. So chemical communication as such is a vibration. It's not just something that's happening on a physical chemical level. It's a vibration. It's an energetic frequency, which is what emotion is. So essentially, this is a big where am I going with this? This is something big to understand, and I do get that. But to me, it actually makes more logical sense than the dog being a thinking being, that we have to find ways around their thinking. This dog, to me, is I see this dog, I've never met this dog, even seen a picture of this dog, but I can see this dog in this situation as a ball of frustrated life force energy. And is it any wonder, because there's a comment made in the thread, in fact it's in the initial question, that the behaviourist that they work with, or is it a behaviourist, or is it, I think it's that somebody else they work with, yes, the other dog likes to do gun dog training, but this dog struggles to respond, is the word, and they make him more stressed. Well, no wonder, because he's not being allowed to express his energy. It's a very controlled situation, and for him it's all there bubbling up inside him. And of course he doesn't know what to do with it, because it's like a little bit allowed out, but actually it's not. It's, this poor dog, And yeah, but it's not the owner's fault. It's not the dog's human friend's fault. This is society. This is the stage we're at. And we have no idea how supported we are by guides. Okay, and you don't even have to believe me on that there are esoteric beings out there supporting us, but they are. Okay, they are there. Humanity is changing and growing, and we are being so supported. Now is the time for us to shift and understand what life force energy truly is in canine behaviour, and how we can support our dogs with the PAW to release this pent up energy. Now, I will say, there's a wonderful lady called Julie that's commented on this thread. I don't know if she lives near the lady who's got the dog with the issues, but she is the only one really who makes a comment about a dog's life force energy. Now, she doesn't know it's life force energy, because this is a kind of T-touch ACE work thing, and they don't discuss that. They still talk about it in the mind. Now, I've not been on an ACE course, so I do hugely apologise if you do talk about life force energy, but I know it stems from T-touch, and when I did my training in T-touch, and subsequently people that I know that do T-touch, they're still mind-based. They're still asking for the dog to be thinking more, not feeling more. Okay, so we as humanity are coming out of our mind and into our heart, and our dogs are showing us how to do this. And really, this is just what I wanted to get across to you today. I hope this I hope this makes sense. I'm sure it will do, really, once it's landed in you, because I know sometimes it takes a while. But for this dog, definitely stopping any kind of mental training and going into the emotions behind this, the feelings behind this. How can you allow this dog to express this energy that it wants to express out in a safe way? Because the dog, there's so much I could say. I could be here all day, but essentially the dog will use its mouth always to express its energy, whether that's sound frequency energy that's coming through it, whether that's a speed energy, like a movement energy, whether that's a bite energy. They will bite and use their mouth to express their energy. We see dogs doing it all the time with a rag a toy. We don't think anything of it because it doesn't make us feel something. But this is the same energy. The dog doesn't know any different. It just feels this energy and needs to express it. And if we keep limiting it, and which could have happened in a previous home, you don't know what trauma has created the energy. But the dog's habits are shown in the now. So we don't actually need to know where it came from. We just need to enable them to express it so they start to flow again. Okay, it doesn't mean that they're going to express it, use it all up and never be the same again. It's about flow. If we keep their flow of energy going and we work with them in a different way, this will allow their life force energy to shine through, and it will have a knock-on effect because they have the biggest heart per body mass of any animal on planet Earth. It will have a knock-on effect to the owner as well. The owner will feel more successful, more happy, more joy, more in the flow, more abundant because they're in the flow. And this is what I've seen happen, as I said, on my retreats for the last 11, going into my 12th year next year. And at one point I didn't know what I was doing. I never questioned it. I just got on with what I felt about life force energy and what worked, essentially. What was working. And I knew it was different. And I felt different, and I felt like, oh, no one's ever going to listen to me about this. I'm just going to run my retreats and not going to go out there, and I'm going to stick to talking about nutrition. And I got really good at nutrition. You know, I was taken on by an international pet food company as their nutritionist for 2 years. I got really good at the logical stuff and the physical molecular stuff, whereas in the background, the real me, the underlining divine me, knew about my life force, and that's what I was sharing. So it hasn't been an easy thing for me to get this out there, but I hope it resonates with you, and I hope you will want to know more about canine flow and how it can support, again with a PAW, the lovely dog and lady in this scenario, because I know that it can, and I'd love to be able to support them in some way, but whether I need to is another matter. Just doing this video might be enough for this lady to go and do some T-touch with her local practitioner, go and do some ACE work. Whether that person is discussing the dog as a thinking being or a life force being is kind of irrelevant, because the work allows the life force to flow. So you will see changes, but then when you really pull into your life this idea, this life force energy, I guess it is a theory. But it's not just a theory, because the ancients have been doing it for ages. It's what yoga does. You know, yoga actually makes your life force flow. And the positions are geometric, resonant positions. There's linked in with that as well. It's not just because they're literally stretching your muscles. Anyway, I think I've chatted enough. Yeah, heart intelligence, life force intelligence. It's the reason why we believe in natural therapies. So why not take it into dog training? You know, why not take it into understanding the gorgeous beings that are frustrated next to us, or maybe not frustrated, gorgeous beings that aren't frustrated. But, you know, let's do this now. Humanity, I think, is ready now. Okay, thanks for listening.